All right, boys and girls, this is lesson 4.1, which is multiply multiples of 10. And this is on page 129. I wrote it down for you right here. I apologize for my writing because I'm doing it with a mouse right now. So it's not the best, but we're going to get through it. This lesson is a lot like the lesson from last chapter. Last chapter, we were taking like 10 times 5, 100 times 5. And you're figuring out what to do with the zeros. So this is similar, but this time we'll be doing things like 10 times 10 and so on. So let's start by reading the problem. It says the principal of a school needs to order supplies for 20 new classrooms. Each classroom needs the following items: 20 desks, 30 chairs, and 40 pencils. How many of each item does the principal need to order? So I'm going to start by highlighting the important information. I know that it's important to know that there's 20 new classrooms in the school, and also that we need the following items: 20 desks, 30 chairs, and 40 pencils for each classroom. And then the question I'm trying to solve is how many of each item does the principal need to order? So I need to know exactly how many desks do we need, how many chairs, and how many pencils. So I'm going to start with desks. So I'm doing 20, I know it looks like a Z, I apologize, times 20. So this is how we would stack it. Now, I'm going to teach you a little trick. We're going to do the same thing that we did with the last chapter with ignoring our zeros. So first, I'm going to just keep these zeros off to the side. Okay? I'm going to ignore them. And I'm going to do 2 times 2, which 2 times 2 is 4. And then all I'm going to do is I am going to take these 2 zeros and now put them after my 4. So my answer for how many desks we need would be 400 desks. Bear with me. I'm sorry. It's hard to write with a mouse. All right. I probably am not going to label everything because that was a little bit painful to do. But we're going to need 400 desks. Now we're going to look at chairs. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do 30 times 20. So I'm putting the 30 on top. I'm going to times it by 20. So again, I'm going to hold off on my zeros. I'm going to save them for later. I'm going to do 3 times 2, which 3 times 2 is 6. And then I put my zeros on at the end. So I need 600 chairs. I'm just going to put a C for chairs. And now last, we're going to do pencils. So again, I'm going to take the amount of pencils each classroom needs. That's 40. How many classrooms I have? That's 20. Stack it up. I'm going to ignore these zeros for the time being. Whoopsies. I'm going to do 4 times 2, which is 8. And then I'm going to put my zeros back on. So I need 800 pencils. So I'm just going to put letter P for pencils. So now we know exactly how many of each item the principal needs to order. All right, now I'm on the back. I'm on page 130. So, for these pages, this is more so just to see how the book suggests that we solve problems. So first, we're going to look at the problem. It says the number of visitors of each age group for the Sunny Day Amusement Park are shown below. How many children visit the park in 30 days? So we need to pay attention. Down here is our number of people at a certain age, and then we're looking for specifically how many children. So it says right here that there's 80 children, and it wants to know how many children visit the park in 30 days. So we're looking for in 30 days if each day has 80 children, how many would that be after 30 days? So it says one way to find 30 times 80 would be 3 times 8, which is 24. And then again, we just take those zeros and put it on the end. So your answer ends up being 2,400 children. It says another way that you can do it would be to break it down and look at it as 30 is the same thing as saying 3 times 10, and 80 is the same thing as 8 times 10. So you're going to do 3 times 8, which would be 24, and then 10 times 10, which is 100. So 24 times 100 would be 2,400. I am going to be honest, this is the way that works in my mind. I think it's simpler. So that's the way we're going to look at the rest of the problems. If you prefer this way, the other way, we can talk about that in class. All right, I'm now on page 131. So we're going to do these example problems and guided practice together, and then you will be able to do independent practice on your own. So we're going to look at another example. We have 50 times 60. Now, they broke it down in what I think is the complicated way. I'm going to show you how I would do it. I'm going to stack them, 50 times 60. Again, I apologize for how horrible my writing is. Okay, I'm going to save these zeros. Oh, goodness. I'm going to save those zeros, and I'm going to focus on 5 times 6. 5 times 6 would be 30. And then I'm going to put my 2 zeros on. So my answer would be 3,000, which, if you notice, is the same thing that they got over here. Now, I'm going to ignore this. Do you understand? So, not worrying about that. We're going to look at the do you know how. So, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask that you pause the video and you try these problems on your own. I'm going to say, let's do odds. So, that would be 3, 5, 7. Those are all odd numbers. So, I want you to pause the video. I want you to try those on your own. And then once you have finished those, play the video again and see if your answers match up with mine. So go ahead and pause the video. All right, here we go. So let's look at number 3. So number 3 was 30 times 10. And you don't have to stack these like this. I'm just doing it because once we get into different numbers, we will have to stack it. So that is why I'm choosing to stack them. Again, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save these zeros for later. And I'm going to focus on 3 times 1. 3 times 1 is 3. And then I put my zeros on. So my answer would be 300. Now let's look at number 5. Number 5 was 20 times 10. Oh, goodness. 20 times 10. I know that's not what it looks like, but that's what I'm trying to write. So, again, save my zeros. I'm going to do 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is 2. And put my 2 zeros on. That would be 200. And now number 7, we have 90 times 40. I saved my zeros for the end. I think about 9 times 4, which 9 times 4 is 36. So I'm going to put the 36 down and then put my 2 zeros on the end. So my answer would be 3,600. I have to say, a lot of these you might be able to do mentally. So, for example, if I'm looking at number 4, I might not need to stack these. If you're comfortable with doing it, this way, like mentally, you can. I might just look at this. So if I'm doing number 4 as an example right now, I know I didn't tell you to do it, but I'm just showing. If I look at number 4, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to save these zeros, and I'm just going to think about what's 5 times 1. 5 times 1 is 5, and then I have to put my 2 zeros on. You can do these mentally. But if you're more comfortable with writing it down, I say go for it. So you need to do whatever works best for you. So now I'm going to let you go ahead and get started on independent practice.